Maya Lievegoed is a TEDx downstage winner and speaker, and she was named one of Dutch financial newspaper's most promising young entrepreneurs. After introducing the TINO methodology to the Netherlands in 2014, her team now applies it internationally, across governments, companies, and educational institutions, helping organizations uncover unrecognized knowledge to solve complex challenges while increasing engagement and trust. With the TINO method, you uncover unrecognized employee resources, such as unrecognized knowledge. How can this hidden layer of insight influence an employer brand, both positively and negatively?
Yeah, so normally, like in any company, a worker is contracted for specific tasks. And we call that his recognized knowledge. This is what he knows he needs, so he knows what is relevant to bring to the company, and also his employer is expecting him to use it. But the beautiful thing about people is that they bring so much more knowledge, network and skills. Compare it with a house. It's like you have a room of the job, but the person is like a full building with so many rooms, hobbies, family lives, previous jobs. And also there are also all kinds of resources. Now, the person doesn't push them into the job room. He doesn't need it for his job, many of those resources. But somewhere else in the company, maybe people search exactly those experiences or insights or skills, but they don't know that this person has it because he doesn't share it normally in his job. So I'm sorry for the introduction, but just to explain what are those unrecognized resources. Now, the beautiful thing is if you do capture those resources as well, very much dependent and related to real needs from the company, the person feels more fully recognized. He understands that everything that he did before, other jobs, other experiences, also might be relevant. And just the sense of authentic recognition is a game changer for EVP. Yeah. People feel not just seen as a worker, but as a person with a whole journey. And to prove that point, why do people spend so much time on social media? We know that actually sometimes the interactions there are relatively superficial, maybe even with strangers. But we are eager to get a like, to get another follower, because it's a universal need to feel recognized. Yeah. So imagine that your own employer or your own colleagues, that they come with real questions that you have a real answer to, but nobody asked you before. And this is why it can be a game changer for employer branding, not because only the person feels more valuable, but also because he's going to be authentic ambassador for that experience that he had in that company.
And when we say unrecognized, we mean unrecognized by the employer or sometimes unrecognized by the employee
It's
itself?
A perfect question. Actually, it starts with the person himself. So he doesn't bring it to the job, for example, because he doesn't need it. It's not because he's insecure, he can be, but it's not related to that. It's not because he's shy, he simply doesn't see a relevance. It's like you make a soup, but you don't need the apple or the banana for the soup, so you don't bring them. Yeah. And then the company searches banana, but you have a soup without banana, so he doesn't. So there's two layers in that. First of all, the person doesn't understand that it can be relevant and valuable for somebody else, so he doesn't push it. Secondly, also the company, because the person doesn't push it, is not able to find it, to recognize that in the person. This is why you need a different process. We call it pull-based, because the person will never share those bananas in the job because he doesn't know it's valuable. So you need to hunt the bananas and to know how to find them and even to convince them a bit. In the beginning they will say, but why do you ask me about bananas? I'm here for the vegetable soup. Yeah. But then if you explain the concept and you say, but you have so many more rooms, right? They say, of course I have. Wait, is something valuable there? And that's really nice. People in the projects we do often workers come to us in the corridor. They say, I also want to be interviewed, ask me. Because word of mouth is very strong and people get very excited by this innovative approach.
Yeah, and we are talking much about proactivity in the employees, but not about the proactivity from the employer's side.
Yes, it's true. And you know, of course companies try a lot to give more recognition. You know, you can do a worker of the employee of the month, or you can give them a nice team building. But many times it stays focused on the kind of known achievements, the job achievements, right? And that every person consciously or unconsciously feels it's reducing him or her to one room in a much bigger building. Now, it's not that you should all the time deal with the other rooms, because you need efficiency, you need experts. So, of course, it's fine that the person most of the time deals with the tasks he was contracted to do. But even if you do once a year or once every month, you ask them a question about the bananas or the apples in another room, it reminds them that you see them as much wider, and it also gives them a wider recognition and a sense of appreciation. And that effect can be a game changer. So it's not about how often you do it, it's about the fact that you see them as wider, and when it's relevant and when it's authentic, you know how to find them and they feel seen.
Yeah, and you don't need to force them to use the resources, you just need to show them that you are seeing.
Yes, because it's a very good point. We say that the point about the unrecognized knowledge or resources, it's always voluntary.
Yeah.
So you will never ask a person to share things they don't want to share. We're not hunting secrets. Because it would be counterproductive. People might even lie. People might say they don't know, because it brings them into a conflict, right? So it only works if you find things that they don't have conflict of interest, and they understand what is the setup. But then it's like, I would say almost a gold mine that opens with insights, perspectives, context that are free for the company, because you already paid the worker for the normal job. You don't have to pay them extra. You pay them with recognition, so you pay them in a different way. And they will thank you for that, because they also feel more valuable when you recognize their value in a wider way.
Like everything, employer branding as well is becoming increasingly automated and data-driven. What role do unrecognized human resources play in completing or correcting what AI-powered tools can see?
Yeah, so AI is great for any kind of repetitive phenomena of which you also have enough documented data, because in the end it feeds itself based on the available documented information. The challenge and also the opportunity with unrecognized resources is that people don't document what they don't think is relevant. It's in the back of their head, but they don't share it in a meeting that might be recorded. They don't add it to any kind of system or that can go through those pipelines up to the director or even the CEO that needs that information. So the beautiful thing that unrecognized resources have to offer to any decision maker is they complete what the any AI tools can offer them, which, by the way, they have a huge potential, but AI cannot access things that haven't been documented. And this is also a beautiful way, because there is an authentic need for those perspectives, which sometimes can be, for example, perspectives on the edges, new risks or new opportunities, things that didn't yet reach enough stability or enough numbers to pop up in the data. It's too niche, it's too new, but they might already be observed by somebody. So it's a great way to complete any kind of documented /AI tools, and while you do that, to give recognition to the workers that they have something unique to offer, and we still need them. We believe we can never replace them fully with AI.
Yeah, they have that fear, so they need the recognition.
Yes, yeah,
for sure.
It's really how they can work together. It's like 1 + 1 is 3.
Yeah.
The challenge is much more how they can complete each other, not if they can.
Yeah. And from your TINO work, what are the most common blind spots in employer branding that organizations rarely realize they have?
Yeah, so many times in employer branding, the focus is very much on, for example, company values, the career path you can do. It's also very much about giving people rewards for their performances in the job. One of the blind spots we see in companies is that a person is much more, of course, than their job. We all know that. But if you also recognize them wider than what they show in the job, this gives a much more holistic recognition to the person. imagine a person who has a maintenance worker. He has maybe a repetitive job. Maybe he works very much by himself. But then through this process of using his unrecognized knowledge, he is involved in a challenge that normally nobody asked him to talk about. And if you do that authentically, and he really understands why his perspective can add to the challenge, he's going to talk about it the rest of his life to his families, on birthdays. He will say, you know what happened to me? They came to me. They wanted to know what I see. Even in the beginning, I didn't believe it was relevant, but later I understood. So, and in the end, your workers, if they are passionate authentically about what they do, and they also talk with family, friends, and people, they can be great ambassadors for your company.
Yeah, and often it's hard to engage them to be, so every opportunity is worth it.
Yes, true.
Yeah. And how can incorporating unrecognized employee resources into decision making help refine or even completely reshape our EVP?
Yeah, so what we need for that, you need a kind of bottom-up process. You cannot just, you won't reach the unrecognized resources in the way that you reach the experts, the people with the recognized resources, because companies are built for expertise. You have the hierarchy, you have the specialization, and we need it. What we do is not against it. Companies are based on those structures, and they work fairly well. But in order to add the unrecognized knowledge, and for example, to get the benefits of this authentic ambassadors, this reciprocity of the workers that feel more recognized by the company, you need to add a process that identifies who might have unrecognized resources for a challenge somewhere in the company, and knows how to approach them, how to extract, for example, the knowledge that they have, how to analyze, how to validate, and also how to document it in the end in the system of the experts, because in the end they can do better decision making, they have a second opinion. So in the end, you add it to the recognized. You move it from unrecognized to recognized resources.
And why do you believe HR plays a crucial role in identifying and activating also the unrecognized employee resources? So
HR is a perfect department to be, even maybe to run it, or to be a very crucial player in that, because they know the workers, they have the context. Not only they know the workers, they know the candidates, they know the rejected candidates, they know the retirees. And so they have, it's like a huge address book. We have a client that has like 25,000 people, HR, in their address book. So imagine that a decision maker has a challenge, and they search for certain profiles that might have unrecognized knowledge or network for that challenge. They will come with profiles, or you need a team that will say, we need this and this profile. Now, who can tell you the name who has such profile? This is the HR, because they have the CVs. They know exactly, they don't know everything, but they really know so much. So they are the perfect connector between the challenge and the person or the people that might have this unrecognized knowledge. So, but for that, we also need to have a wider mindset, because the HR for now is asked to specialize in the recognized resources.
And how can organizations blend data-driven employer branding with the kind of human intelligence and numbers and dashboards that numbers and dashboards can capture?
Yeah, so first of all, companies need to decide where to position this more bottom-up process. We often work with innovation teams, but it can also be more specific in, for example, the IT department is an option, or the IT is an option, but you need to... Ideally, you have a team that can see company-wide and not just only, product development or only marketing, because they already deal with content. You also want to ideally have a team that sees the whole company. And then if you have this team, what they do is that if they get a question, they can search which people have the profile who have this unrecognized knowledge. They need to know how to approach, how to interview, how to collect the perspectives, and then they document it. And you agree with the client where this will be documented and how in the pipelines it will be shared with the decision maker. So as a result, the decision maker has his normal process with the expert, can be report, can be meetings, can be AI, by the way, but they have an additional channel of information coming from these unrecognized resource analysis. And this is or additional, it's a perfect second opinion, and related to employer branding, it gives a huge extra appreciation to your workers, because you see them and you reflect them wider than just as the person they were, or the task they were contracted to perform.
Thank you so much.